Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. So this is my last real day of testing and the like. So doing a couple of different things. First of all, taking over some fairly dramatic mountain passes. This is the VW ID4 first edition. Not that it makes a difference what edition you have, given the fact they all have the same 82 usable 77 kilowatt battery in the US currently. We're going from here, and I'll show this on a map, going from home over the Diablo mountain passes to Patterson on what's known as 130. Now this is basically an up and down, very hilly, very windy country road. Will make for a great video, I'm sure, on the time lapse. And if you saw yesterday's video, we've changed the settings on that because this is all about learning. So yesterday we did 5-second increments. Today we're doing 1-second increments. So we'll see how that works. Sadly, the place which I wanted to go to, having never been and yet it's so close, the Junction Cafe will be closed as we pass, but we will stop by just to take a look at it because just for personal serendipity. So we're heading to Patterson, then up to Modesto. I have some personal business to deal with there and see a friend I haven't seen since just before lockdown, who hopefully will be my co-pilot for the trip to New York in a month or so time. And then from there, from Modesto to the Livermore outlets. Hopefully we should get there with the low state of charge, and then we're going to charge up there, and then home. So should be an enjoyable day. Let's get on with it. So if you may have seen on the time lapse, a red Miata had gone over the edge, and there was multiple Miatas there with his friends. You could see the drift marks on the beautiful thing. I was going to put something on the video. I was going to say, well, I wasn't aware of that they'd resurfaced this road, but clearly the local drift community has, and they've been enjoying it. And I just paused, check everyone was okay, whether they needed a tow truck, and they've got that taken care of. I did say, guys, evidence. You're stuck, you can't go anywhere, and there's skid marks all over the place. I mean, they've been enjoying this road. I mean, enjoying the road, don't get me wrong. You can see that. But I'm not trying to get the back end out. I'm not... if you're gonna do something stupid, plan it. We all make mistakes. Just try not to. It doesn't mean have a boring life. It's I've had my fair share of experiences, but yeah, you don't. It's not risk and reward. You have to. Has to be a reward for the risk. Anyway, back to the driving. So we've come over the first mountain towards the Grant Head trailhead on our way to James Lick Observatory. The camera may have picked up the observatory's closed to the public. I'm still hoping but not expecting to be able to just use the car park outside to take a couple of pictures. It's assuming the cloud is high enough. It is still early in the morning this time of year. The cloud kind of hangs at that altitude. But the road has been completely redone. This is an enjoyable road anyway, but it was a pretty crappy piece of asphalt, pretty worn out. I don't think this was scheduled for work. And I think a lot of this is because of the damage that was caused. Where we are going is where the major fires took place last year. As I'm driving, fires actually came all the way down here and back on the other side of the lake. And in fact, we watched or heard a 800-pound propane tank go up. When I mean go up, it went vertical. And made one hell of a made one hell of a bang. So as I think about this, and I was looking at the Google satellite images last night of where I'm going, this is going to be a possibly hard to look at imagery. It did a lot of damage, and this is a very special area. Over the years, not recently, not since sort of 2006, there have been proposals, and I'm sure it's a coincidence that a congressman who owned a large amount of land in Patterson wanted this. But they wanted to upgrade this to a state road. Believe it or not, when we get to James Lick, officially, and I'm not sure how they do this, but the road from the James Lick Observatory to Patterson doesn't exist. It's on maps, but it's not meant to be. It's an upgraded trackway. And they have actually talked over the years about turning this into, I'm not saying a freeway, but a higher quality road to provide alternative access and improve traffic flow between Santa Clara and the Central Valley. First of all, there's 3 major mountain passes and many minor ones. The costs and construction, and even before you get to California's environmental protection rules and everything else, it just the sheer cost of doing this would be ridiculous, and the damage would be the thing. Especially when you consider that what we're going to go through is some of the last California, I'm going to call it ranch wilderness. These places don't get much service. People live here for the isolation. They live here for their own reasons, and they sure as hell want to be left alone. And I respect that. We're passing through. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the ride, and it'll be interesting to see. We're now 9 months and one winter. 9 months? I'm not sure. Quite 9 months, maybe a bit less. And a winter season past the fires. So it'll be interesting to see what the regrowth looks like, because, and I don't want to get into politics. I do. I love it, but this isn't a two-way conversation. Fire is a natural way of dealing with fuel, and we try to manage way too much. And the county parks officer is here. But And don't get me wrong, you have the right to protect your property and all these things, but fire management sometimes means fires. You can perhaps hear my inner farmer, because every now and again we would have to clear part of the grouse moors to get new growth. That is why we would do it. Anyway, enjoy. So as we come up on the James Lick Observatory, and a huge amount of work was done to save this place during the fire. I think it's just normally called the Lick Observatory. It is it's a huge amount of Silicon Valley. Is Silicon Valley because of this place? And I'm kind of doing this from memory, so if I get it wrong, please don't beat me up. But James Lick was actually a Yorkshireman. It has sounded like this, which is part of the world where I used to live before I came to the States. And he had a huge passion for astronomy, and he paid for this huge reflecting telescope mirror to be made, and the road was built to build the observatory. And because it was so dark at the time, and this is back in the 1800s, it was far away from civilization, low light, low conditions, and a huge number of observations were made here, and it established the region as a center for space observations. And my understanding is there is a direct link between that and the and NASA Space Administration at Moffett Field, and where good people, where brainy people come together, because NASA was here, and then Lockheed. These were the foundations of what we now think of as Silicon Valley. It is always beautiful to be up here. You can see how hard they worked to keep the fire away. No parking at any time, and it's completely closed off from the park police are there, so we will not be getting pictures. But this was a whole self-contained thing. The maintenance shop, workshops, residential. And in fact, they even had, as well as the multiple telescope systems, there was even a school here, because it was a residential place, and so there was a school and a tiny post office for many years, and it's worth a few minutes of your time to go on Wikipedia. That's all I'll say. Alright, so we are here at the top. Quick look at the charging screen. Says we're at 66%, so 14% to get up here, with average speed of 22 miles an hour and 46 minutes to get up here. And we were doing 43 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Of course, this is going up and down, so I'm curious as to how it does these things. Anyway, we won't dwell on that for now, because this road needs 100% attention. We're coming up to the fire observation posts and radio systems right now. So, with that, see you in a few minutes' time. So you will have seen on the video that I went the wrong way, and that's fine. This is the junction, and it's closed until 11 o'clock, and so we're not, unfortunately, can't wait an hour and a half. Gonna go see my buddy and see if we can. He's gonna be my wingman for this trip to New York. But I want to tell you a little bit about this road and my personal history with it. And I don't remember the junction from the last time, and part of the reason is I haven't driven on this bit of the road for more than 10 years. It seems a very long time ago now. So I met my wife, and she's part of this, on a plane flying from San Jose to Phoenix. She was going to Chicago, I was going to Salt Lake City. And I'm partially deaf in one ear from playing rugby and taking a couple of smacks to the head. Some would say you needed more. And I don't hear too well, and I asked where she was coming and going, and I thought she said she was going to Chicago for a swimming convent. I asked her if she was going to tread water for Jesus, and she looked at me as if I had a stroke, a mixture of confusion and pity. It's a look I've come to know well over the years. Anyway, she was going to a swimming conference. My wife was part of USA Swimming and Junior Olympics and all that kind of thing. So we hit it off. Well, I certainly felt we did. And we get, I was going to be back in the Bay Area in a few weeks' time, or at least I said I was going to be. In fact, I wasn't planning on it. I was going to be in DC, and that's a whole different story. Men are stupid, and they will do stupid things for stupid reasons. Or for love, but yeah, they'll do a lot more for lust than they will for love, I think. So I drove back, and I'm going to put this on a map, and I'll impose it on the graphic, so you don't have to just look at my face while I'm doing this. The road does straighten out a little bit, so we're going to open it up just a little bit more, use a few more irons to get to Patterson and Modesto. So we were going to have dinner at the Grill, which is a steakhouse in the Fairmont Hotel in San Jose. But she was going to be at a dog show in Pleasanton. We met in the fall. And she kept winning. She won best of breed, and then she won in the group, and then after that you have to wait for best in show. The dog was called Tempo, and she was a sweet little thing. She wouldn't thank you for saying that. The dog, fiery little Scottish Terrier, as they all are. Anyway. Dinner was going to be at such and such a point in the evening, and so I thought I'd spent a lot of time in San Francisco and the sort of the Bay Area, and I thought, well, let's go south. Let's go see some more. And so I rented a car, and I traveled a ridiculous amount at the time. I had status with everybody, and Avis, I think it was Avis, gave me a less than 100 miles blue Mustang. I think it was a baby blue, like the new Marquis. Anyway, some things I don't remember. Handled like it's a very powerful boat, is how I would describe it. Oh, this is how I remember this road now as I'm driving. very windy. The bit where it opens up is short and fleeting. So I'd been on the road for a while, and I actually need to get some supplies, and so I drove down to the outlets at Gilroy, and then I had sold some bull semen to a guy in Modesto. Now, I wasn't carrying it with me. I have done that. I did go to Texas once, somewhere in San Marcos? I think it was San Marcos. South of, between Austin and San Antonio. I'd sold some stuff to Modesto, and it was just one of these weeks. I thought, well, I'll go to Modesto. It's not that far, and to see Modesto, because one thing I love is agricultural equipment. Oh, I love some big tackle, and America does tackle bigger than we do in the UK. And so I thought, well, I'll go there because there's always agricultural yards, and I'll go and, I had nothing to do. So I went to Modesto, and then I'm looking, I went on the cross country routes rather than just taking the freeway. I went on the country roads, on the straight country roads. And then I looked at the maps, and I looked at Google Maps, and I could see this road between Patterson and San Jose, this squiggly little road, which we're now on. And so I thought, well, I have nothing else to do. Let's do that. And so I took this Mustang, and I'm sure I've got photos of it. If I can find a photo, I'll put it in the system. Oh yeah, the important part is one of my treats when coming to the West Coast is In-N-Out. I would, if I was flying from the East Coast to Asia, connect through LAX, so I could go and get an In-N-Out burger near the car park. This is a long time ago. And there's an In-N-Out burger at Gilroy, so that's why I ended up in Gilroy at that particular outlet, because of the one in Gilroy. And so I brought this boat of a Mustang, and I have to say, I felt seasick. I wouldn't have been able to be a passenger on that ride. I would have thrown up. When you've got hold of the steering wheel, it gives you a bit more centering. You have control. Your eyes go where you're going, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah. And that was the last time I drove the full length of this road between Patterson and San Jose. And so I have to say, the obvious comparison is the ID4 versus that Mustang. And this thing is so planted. Now that the battery is, I took the i3, the BMW i3, up to the Observatory a good number of times, including in the winter when there was snow up there, because it's just fun. But this thing is so planted, and a part of that is obviously having the battery and the low center of gravity. I do have it in sport mode. I do question what value that has, because this thing doesn't have dynamic dampers or anything like that. It does lean as we go into these corners with a bit of more speed. Obviously rear wheel drive. It does, you can tell it has an understeer capability. It's not a front bias, it's very well weighted. It does dive into the corner very nicely, and these aren't the corners where I'm going to check whether when the back end's going to loose out. We've already seen that Miata earlier on. But is it as dynamic as a Tesla? No, it's not. But it's comfortable. I've got it in sport mode, and I'm going to say I like it. I like it a lot. It carries, into the corner. It goes into the corner. You can put your foot down quite early and predictably in the corners. And you can feel the rear wheel really pushing you out of the corner. It'll be interesting to see what the all-wheel drive version's like. But this isn't a review because we already bought it. We already like it. Alright, next word's probably from Modesto after I have grabbed some coffee. We are through the canyons. Opens up a little bit. We have better visibility. We can see the cows. By the way, when we say we see the cows, we want to make sure that they're not near the road. So we can open up the taps a little bit. We don't want to go off the road. We're going to keep it below 70. This is like driving in the English countryside. Only the road is dry. Which isn't always the same case. So we're just coming up on 5. You can see the highway up in the distance, and we can see what I can only assume are almond trees, because California. Maybe they're almond trees. No, they're not almond trees. It's like an old, dead fruit system. I don't know what it is. Anyway, they're selling hay and they've got some cows in there. Alright, so we're going to enjoy this. We're crossing 5 and heading to Modesto. Well, Patterson. looks like I won't have a wingman for my run across to New York, which is fine. We built the trip based on the basis that I would be driving alone and needing to get some sleep, yada yada yada. But the reality is he's self-employed and he can't take that kind of time off. He's got clients already booked in for the Monday and Tuesday, and so it's unfortunate. But the good news is we'll get to spend the weekend together in New York, so that's fine. So our mileage, mileage has just been phenomenal. This thing continues to outperform and excel, and I'm now just gonna go to a nearby hotel because I need to pick up. I'm gonna shoot a quick video, hopefully, on a Tesla destination charger. And then, based on the amount of battery that we have left, we may not do what I was going to do and actually go all the way around the bay. So we will see. The numbers continue to baffle me in terms of the efficiency of this thing is phenomenal. I really was not expecting it to be this close to a Tesla's capabilities. And yeah, it keeps excelling. So I'm just going to get into this lane. I'm going to execute a left turn here. I will catch up with you on the road and let you know what's happening next. So we're leaving Modesto. We are heading to the Walmart in Fremont that has a 150 kilowatt charger, interestingly, near the Tesla plant. We've got 117 miles in the tank, specifically, I think 44%. We should get in with 12%. We're going 71 miles. There is some traffic. It is up and down. We may take the Livermore thing. What is interesting is I am using the built-in sat-nav system, which I still do not like. But we're going to use that because that one is truly connected to the car's battery, and we'll see what's going to happen. So, thank you to the Spring Hill Suites of Modesto for letting me borrow their destination charger for all of 30 seconds to verify that.
Please turn right in 400 feet.
I could get 9 kilowatts of juice into the system. And,
now turn right.
And I will check in with you shortly. So here's the conundrum. Just came off on what's called the Livermore crossroad, heading towards 680, just north of Fremont. Now, I've got 51 miles on the gasometer. We're under 20%. I know that because the yellow battery light came on. It's 25 miles and 25 miles and 32 minutes. I was going to go to the fast charger at Walmart in Fremont, and then it starts raining. This has two effects. One, my consumption will go up because the road is wet and it's colder. Second, my dog's outside in the backyard, and he's not that bright. Well, 2 dogs are outside. One will be under the shelter, but my dog's not that clever. So now we go home, and we don't hit the fast charger, and that's fine. I think I can afford 50 kilowatts of juice. I'm not too worried about that. But I do have to manage my battery usage and track it. Now, this isn't critical, will he or will he not make it. I do live at the top of a hill. a significant hill. I don't mean the driveway, I mean that the house is on top of a mountain. However, we've got 24 miles in the tank, 53 on the gasometer. We may have to slow down, but slowing down will be less time than plugging in. I'd already changed my mind. The weather got bad in the last few minutes. It was sprinkling, and I was like, well, I'll slow down and go to Alum Rock, which is near the house, and the charger which I've been using the last few days. The other charger, the one at the Walmart, I'm not that interested in the Walmart. I would look to use the bathroom, but there is a Chipotle which would have been dinner. But now we just we go into battery management. We're going up over this hill, which will then drop down into Fremont. Normally I wouldn't care about my speed too much, but we have to. We'll recover a lot on the way down. There's also quite a lot of wind, so it happens. These things happen. You have choices. We were well planned. We executed. This does mean that we will have done 0 charges all day, which, well, unless you count the 30 seconds of destination charging we did in Modesto. But the car has performed better, significantly better than a better route planner said it was going to. A better route planner said we would need to charge at Tracy to get home with 5%. Now, up until a few miles ago, I haven't moderated my driving whatsoever. The mountains were the mountains. When we were on flat, we were doing 70, 75. On the freeway, yeah, we had a bit of traffic. There was a fender bender, which you'll have seen. But this car outperforms its EPA. I have to believe that. We weren't doing 70 miles an hour constantly today. Right now, our average speed has been 60. It's been 43, and that includes a lot of 20 mile an hour driving up and over the hill. It is, and they really need to a better trip computer would be much appreciated. Yeah, we're down to 16%, and if things truly, the Alum Rock turnoff it's literally one stop short of my exit, so we will. But the car has performed, I mean, just exceptionally. And we started the day, I think this is worth noting, and I need to remember this myself. We started the day at 80%, not at 100, at 80. It really, it's, like I said, can't wait to do the numbers, can't wait to pull the statistics out of EV Notify, and as it's raining and we're not going to be doing yard work, we will spend some time evaluating that. But yeah, let's get home, let's get the dog in, let's get him dry, let's give him some food, and I'll come back to you when this is all done later. Well, pulling into home at 9%, just doing the boring things like getting mail, and it stopped raining, but we're just going to let it's not a major issue for the dog. We'll get him in and get him dry and fed, and he'll be very, very happy to just be in the kitchen, his favorite place. Is where all the good food is. Like I said, this has just been a phenomenal ride. We've, maths is simple. When it says you got 9% left and 23 miles in the tank, and you look at the numbers, it's like, yeah, that's right, and that is great. I have one more video to shoot tonight. We're gonna go and drop off my Jessler. Another video about that in a minute, about what a Jessler is, and then we will do a charge up at Electrify America, and we're going to see how far you need to drive to get the pack up to get the pack warm enough to take a full speed charge. So with that, if you have been watching, thank you. It's appreciated. Have yourself a great day.